Hello, Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset, episode 194. This show is about anything and everything related to the Destiny franchise. If you love playing Destiny 2 as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, we hear previews on changes to come next season with Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten. We discuss more changes to the team at Bungie, and finally, talk about what's kept us busy this reset with our alts and triumphs. Hello, Guardians, and welcome. It's AER0KNIGHT, and of course, CyborgSasquatch. What's up, buddy?
Hello, Guardian.
How are you?
I am Cyborg.
Are you here?
I'm functional.
I know it was in-game weekend. We were talking before the weekend started. We both had pretty busy weekends, so
My
hopefully,
gosh, it's like I'm just totally done.
Yeah, I'm toasted. Hopefully, we don't sound
week.
even more chill than we normally do. We're trying to wake ourselves up.
Yeah, this has been the literally the longest, hardest week I've had this year, I think. So
it's rest time.
I'm glad I made it to Sunday night. Let's just put it that way.
We'll do the Destiny thing and then get some rest.
That's right.
Yes.
After I solo Forgotten Shores, the Shattered Throne stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, unless I jump on Destiny or build a dinosaur park. But we'll get into that later.
Dinosaurs.
Yep.
Yeah, good to be here, man. Glad to talk with you again about the Destiny. Let's do a show.
Let's do it. Another week.
All right. Announcements.
Yes.
Couple things. A correction for last week.
Yes.
We were talking about the Platinum Starling ship from the Black Armory expansion. We got a shout out from a Derp fam member that has earned it, and he clarified, we were under the impression you had to complete Gofanon forges to earn this ship, because that's what the tooltip says. However, in order to earn the Platinum Starling ship, you have to complete the triumph that requires 100 Black Armory weapon frames.
Yes.
Now, until they patched it, you had to do it with legendary frames, but you can do it with the rare quality frames now as well. Those do count.
Very nice.
So get out there working on those 100 frames if you want that ship.
Yeah, thanks to all the Guardians that sent us the clarification. Always do that. We appreciate it, because there's so much to keep up with this game. That won't be the last thing we possibly.
I don't want to be the reason somebody runs like 10,000 Gofanon forges and doesn't get that ship.
Yes.
So,
dude, there's so much in the game now, and even the tooltip. I was gonna actually ask you if I was reading it wrong, because I went back and looked at it after we got all that feedback, and the tooltip clearly says acquired by completing Gofanon ignitions or something. And then I got to thinking, okay, does ignitions mean like you have a frame? Because that just sounds like to me you just need to run Gofanon Forge.
I think each round is like considered an ignition.
Mm-hmm.
And it uses that terminology for some of the bounties, like complete ignitions, which is like finishing a round.
Right, yeah.
But anyways, now you know.
Yeah, sorry for the confusion, Guardians.
Yep. And then we wanted to give a shout out to some friends this week, right?
Yes, we did. Our buddies, our podcast buddies, we've met a couple times in person. Good old Crucible Radio Guardians. We've mentioned them several times on the show. I think it had them all at one point on the show. We were on theirs.
Yeah.
Known them for a long time. They started, I think, literally right before we did, a few episodes. We've mentioned this before, but they hit their 200th episode. And I believe, first off, congrats. I believe that's the start of their kind of new podcasting venture, right?
Yep. So Crucible Radio proper is now closed for business. It will no longer be a Destiny-focused podcast. So we first wanted to say thanks for 200 episodes to Bones, Birds, and Swain. They have been just fantastic hosts and made me want to get good at Crucible and help me do that
over the years.
Yeah, had some fantastic guests and a lot to offer over the years, and taught me how to not be a scrub, real life. Like learned what a scrub really is and how not to be one, even though I'm still a scrub sometimes. So I gotta thank those guys a lot, and then they've been just fantastic friends, just in general. Like those guys have just been really awesome to us, and had a lot of fun with them in person and a lot of fun online with them over the years. So we thank them, and they're not going anywhere. But like you mentioned, Arrow, they're starting up a new venture, a new podcast that will be about, we don't know yet. I don't know if they're posting it this Monday or if it'll be up in the future, but keep an eye on their feeds. I think they are converting their Twitter and their Apple Podcasts feed to what their new show is. So if you're subscribed, you'll get it. Yes. And I would encourage you to stick around. If you like those boys, they're still going to have great content, and I think they just feel like they're ready to do something different. So
yeah,
good for them.
It's crazy how long they've been giving us Crucible tips. And it was always cool too, because the three of them had different skill levels in the Crucible, I guess you could say. And it was neat to hear their perspective and take and advice. And man, have they influenced and helped a lot of Guardians to look at the comments, and they did a whole little portion in their 200th episode. Shout out to Andrew, their editor. He put like him and team put a portion of their show where the fans and some friends and stuff got to put a little snippet of audio in there. So that was really cool. But it was just really cool to hear how many people, again, this game is brought together, and how many people they helped get better in the Crucible, like you said. And it's good stuff, dude. Really cool.
Yeah. Real thankful, real proud of what they've accomplished, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next.
Yep,
so,
me too.
If you listen to those guys, be sure to send them a tweet or an email and just give them a shout out or a thank you for what they've done and the effort that they put out. Totally just of their own accord and for free. Over many years, lots of content. So. Yep. But hey, we're still here.
We're still doing the Destiny
for your Destiny talk.
Yes.
If you need it, we'll be around. And maybe once in a while, be able to talk one of them to come on and talking Destiny some more.
Yeah, dude. That would be really cool. That's a good idea. They're still going to be playing.
No promises, but we'll try. All right. I think that's all the announcements this week, right?
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
We don't mean to continue to tease, but guys, we'll have a giveaway soon. We love giving away stuff.
We will. So. We got something big in the works. All right. Now it's time for the news. And first off, it's this week at Bungie. Saladin joins the revelry. Of course, Iron Banner was live this week with all your Wolf's Favors, Iron Burdens, and Revelers tonics all combining for quite an interesting event. Double Valor was available during the week with Triple Valor over the weekend. And then they are starting to cover some Sandbox Super tuning on its way with Update 2.2.2 that's planned for May. They're also covering some updates that are in the pipeline for Season of Opulence that we're going to talk about here. And first off, that they're going to talk about the Pinnacle hand cannons. So we're going to hear about changes to Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten. You want to cover this?
Yeah, of course. It was kind of a surprise to see this in there because it's been talked about for so long here. But just to jump right into it, we hear from the dev team. And they want to give a preview of some of the plans they have for balancing Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten Season of Opulence. They say after significant amounts of feedback, internal discussion, and playtesting, they've decided to adjust how these hand cannons work. So they acknowledge for some players, these weapons can represent a significant investment of time and personal improvement needed to acquire. So when tuning, they wanted to take this into account, basically the commitment players make to acquire weapons and balance that against how those weapons affect the different game modes. If you guys, I'm sure you guys have been in tune, but there's been, we've mentioned on the show a couple times, there's been quite a bit of feedback in the community just about how powerful, in particular, these two pinnacle weapons are, and possibly what it seems like they've done to the Crucible, in a sense that, you know, if you're gonna get pretty sweaty, you typically have one of these on your character. But with that said, very specifically, they mentioned the Magnificent Howl perk, the unique perk for both of these weapons. They mention it's too effective, basically. It works in a neutral setting and rewards players for getting precision shots, something they would have done naturally. As a result, the time to kill of the game shifts to meet this new benchmark, and players feel that the majority of primary weapons in Destiny 2 cannot compete with these pinnacle weapons. So, their current plan is to make Luna's Howl Not Forgotten the only 150 RPM precision hand cannons. They will maintain some aspects of their current behavior while taking on the firing speed and damage of the 150 RPM hand cannons. Magnificent Howl will also be adjusted so that it increases only body shot damage, resulting in a 2 headshot, 1 body shot kill. Magnificent Howl will still give an advantage due to requiring less precision hits for optimal time to kill. So, those are the two tweaks we're going to see in Season of Opulence, I assume, when it launches. And it's interesting. I had to kind of double take this. They're 180s right now, which is a huge appeal. 180s just feel amazing. I love 180 hand cannons. So them dropping to 150s seemed, I mean, it kind of hurt at first for a second, but it's a classic. Like when you get information like this, you got to take it in, you got to just let it soak in and really think about how it's going to affect you and the other players. These two hand cannons are still going to be primo choices. Like they're still going to be potent hand cannons, but it is going to, I think it's going to be kind of jarring at first when you throw it on, and you don't get that pretty quick 180 feel, don't you think? Mm-hmm. It's going to throw you off a little bit. That's one aspect of it. I guess before we get into those specific details, what are your thoughts on, I guess, people who have worked to get these, and now we're seeing this change? What do you think, Cyborg? Because you're working on getting your Lunas right now, right?
I mean, I know there's a lot of people who may feel a little bit upset, but until you have the gun and we know how they play, it's hard to just... Oh my God, they're touching it, right? Like there's a nerf.
The shock
Should we all
value.
flip out? Or is it going to be that dramatic? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I have never played with either of them, so I can't tell you if if I should be upset about this. I think it's. Here's the thing I do know. There's a problem that these hand cannons are very, very dominant, and I think it's good for those pinnacle weapons to be strong and to be a great option, but you also don't want it to be the only option because it's so powerful that you don't want to use anything else and it's all that you see, right? You need to see other guns at least be able to compete, and there's a couple that can compete tangentially, but the thing with hand cannons, like when you really stack them up against each other, like your gun skill has to be so dang good for it really to matter that much. Like there's no perfect simulation and scenario where, I got outgunned because they have this gun. Like, no, they probably just got the drop on you in most cases, right? Like who was first to fire? I don't know. And I might be totally off on this, but I feel like people get really hung up on minutia when there's so many other things that you could improve besides worrying about having the absolute best gun with the best perks. But I don't know. All in all, I'm sure they're still gonna retain the strength of them and make them competitive as long as they aren't just completely useless.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not gonna recoil.
Nice.
There was another thing worth mentioning on Twitter. I want to say it might have been Dimgy. He put a couple notes up. He said the team's been hard at work on these changes, ensuring the weapons are still viable and heavy hitters in the sandbox. Coming from playtests, they still feel to be the pinnacle legendary hand cannons of D2. The weapon retains the recoil and animation of 180 RPM precision hand cannons. The changes to Magnificent Howl prevents 2-tap kills. Example, players could get 2 headshots on one enemy to proc Magnificent Howl and then defeat another in just 2 headshots.
Right.
So they mentioned we'll be watching feedback as it comes in, and once the changes go live in Season of Opulence. Thank you. Oh, he says, cheers to all chiming in with their thoughts. Keep asking questions and we'll answer where we can.
Yeah, I think it's... I have Lunas Howl at some point. I thought about it this season just because the experiences we've had in comp over the last, few weeks have been pretty good, shooting for Not Forgotten. But I've had Lunas Howl for a little while now. And, I mean, hand cannons have always been, right up my alley in the Crucible. And, I mean, that thing, when you proc that perk... it definitely feels like you even shock yourself a little bit because, typically in the Crucible, like you said, if you get the jump, especially in this current climate of the Crucible, you're typically going to win the engagement, if you get any millisecond of a jump on your, opposition. But Lunas Howl, man, when you proc that perk, it is crazy. Now, I will say, though, the thing that is more, I would almost venture, I won't say more potent, but as potent when combined with that perk is the range of Not Forgotten. Lunas Howl, the whole perk of continuing to go for Not Forgotten is because you get that crazy range on a hand cannon. Lunas Howl isn't horrible in the range department, don't get me wrong, but Not Forgotten is just baffling. Wow, with some of the range shots you can get. So they don't mention anything about doing anything to that. So that's why I think these guys, they're still going to be excellent choices. And we're in the state of the game we're in right now more than ever before is like not in the game of nerfing things. And, of course, you see the thumbnails everywhere. Lunas Howl, Not Forgotten, getting nerfed, finally, whatever. I don't think, I think you're right. It's not so much, hearing other feedback that this is them getting nerfed as more as like all of the other things that it's going to bring up just by tweaking these couple of things on these 2 hand cannons. And these 2 hand cannons, I mean, even with 150 being in play, like I've said a couple times already, I mean, I'm not putting mine up. Like, I'll still have my Lunas Howl out. We'll see how it feels, but I'm pretty sure it's still going to feel pretty potent. So, it's all about those perks on those pinnacle weapons, and, they gotta try to find that happy medium, but I think they'll still be pretty potent. When you see Shotgun Luna or Shotgun Not Forgotten, it's going to be nice for at least that in the sweaty areas of the game. And I'm sure many in quick play, we've heard feedback or seeing that quite a bit. It's going to be nice to see some other things when you're ready to get sweaty, I guess you could say. So we'll see. Like you said, you can't really tell until it drops. But
the more options there are, like the better. The better, the less, I guess the less it matters. Not that I don't want it to not, I don't want it to not matter, but, these are like the 2 best hand cannons, especially on PC. I think it matters less on console because I know the bloom is such a big difference. But the more guns we can get in the game, like the more options there can be, the less, people will feel this when it, is really, it's like splitting hairs again. Like,
oh, for sure, yeah. I would love, hear feedback from our listeners too. You guys will have to tweet at Destiny Reset or email us or something because I'm just interested. As a Luna's owner, I'm not, too annoyed by this. I still feel like the gun's going to be worth the grind that I put in to get it. I got it in the 2nd season. So, it was a little different climate in that first season that things were available, but anyways, I think it's a good thing overall. Weapons are pretty potent right now. Like, you can still get away with a lot of different options in the Crucible, but even through that, these two hand cannons have went to the top. Even through how potent everything is right now. So I don't know. I think it'll be good.
I don't see as many Lunas, but I see a lot of, I don't see as many Not Forgottens, but I see a lot of Lunas.
Yeah.
And competitive. And, it is difficult when you're trying to get like precision headshot kills.
Dude, it is. I remember.
Somebody's got that perk active. Like, it's tough, but there's a lot of other guns to play with.
And you want those pinnacle weapons to be potent and different than others. Otherwise, what's the point of chasing them? But like you said, we'll revisit this when it drops. We'll have, hopefully Cyborg will have his at that point. We'll both have at least Lunas, and we can provide some info on what we think after we actually get the changes in our hands.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm trying to finish up these solar kills so I can then do the worst grind of those precision hand cannon kills, and then I'll probably have a lot to say when I get to that step.
I remember that grind, dude, and even when I did it,
I hear it's pretty tough.
So many people already had Lunas and Not Forgotten, and it makes it even that much more difficult. So we might hear from you in that stage. Like you said, it gets kind of rough, but hopefully there's more to use. I don't know. We're talking about the fact that how many we see right now, no matter how potent everything is. So hopefully that quest step doesn't seem too bad for you. You'll have to keep us posted for sure.
We'll find out.
We'll see.
All right. Well, next up in the TWAB, they talk about the Revelry in Verdant Light. There was an issue with the Revelry orbs in Gambit Prime raids, and competitive Crucible, causing an increase in guitar errors and activity disconnections because too many objects in the field. So, of course, they were disabled. And the problem, however, is that there's Triumph no longer available, which is Verdant Light competitive. They're investigating a change to the requirements. So, what they're going to do, their plan is to reduce the requirement to 20 orbs. That'll be deployed after the Revelry ends. So if you want to earn that Triumph, if you had completed those 20 orbs, the Triumph will auto-complete after downloading the patch, which will also unlock the Party Harder Triumph in the Stimulant Spring emblem reward if you've completed all the other Triumphs. So that's their solution, but it's not going to happen until after the Revelry.
There you go.
For you achievement hunters out there. It's strange, I don't like, it's cool having Triumphs for events, but they're not worth any points.
Right.
So I'd really like, is it just to say you've done it? Like, why am I chasing these Triumphs? I don't know.
Yeah, I forget I saw somebody post somewhere in my feeds. They were like hoping at some point there'd be a title for getting all the Triumphs and events. And
yeah,
stuff.
It would have been smart to have like or even an event title, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Like something like, I don't know, what could you call it? Like Reveler or like some like, oh man, trying to think of like the best word. Just hardcore, just partier, man.
That is the classic balance too. We've seen come up with the titles is this particular Guardian was saying like a title for getting all Triumphs in all events, let's say maybe in a whole year or something. But if I've seen it come up where even I think some of our listeners have kind of sent our way like the want for more titles that you can achieve. And I'm sure we've talked about it on the show too, but if you were going to do that, because, the whole reason they're so appealing right now is because most of them, all of them really are pretty hard to get, or at least take some dedication. If you were going to, if they were going to implement, I guess, easier in quotes titles to get, they would almost have to put, like a gear quality on them or something, like exotic titles, legendary titles, stuff like that.
Yeah. I've heard people mention like it would be cool to have like just rare quality titles, so like just some lower tier stuff, and it would even show up like blue, instead of purple. maybe they could be more like micro specific, right? Like,
Right, yeah.
hey, maybe a rare title for each event that you can pop on, like if you complete all the triumphs and just different little stuff, then you can have more of them, right?
Yeah,
That could be
definitely.
like really specific, like maybe one for each destination, and I don't know, different stuff. And then like you mentioned as well, like an exotic title, like what if you complete all the legendary titles?
Yeah.
I saw
Speaking
there
of,
is somebody that has at
Yep.
least a couple people I saw on Twitter just this week.
that would
Very
be
impressive.
Cool. That would be very
And
cool.
yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would be after that.
Yeah, that's a excellent idea.
They've got a lot of time in the future to build on the seals and the triumphs. I think they've gotten a lot of feedback this year. I mean, a lot. I really think there's quite a few people that pay attention and enjoy this part of the game. And I think the initial system has been really like well done, and a lot of people have given feedback on, hey, I'd love to see this and that. Like, could you do this differently? And I'm sure that we'll see improvements down the line with it.
Oh, yeah.
I think it really engages a lot of people.
Yeah, the amount of depth that's added to the game, and even chasing one title like I have, and then working on a second one or something, all the way to, like you said, one or two Guardians that have them all or all but one. And it's just, it's added a lot to the game. I mean, to think about how much we wanted to chase Grimoire score, and now we have just a full, it seems like, I mean, almost endless pages of triumphs, and then many titles to chase. It's really, I agree. Like they can, as always, they can, implement and expand on it more. But this first iteration has been excellent. What we've seen since Forsaken.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure. Well, back to the TWAB. Exciting thing this coming Monday. If you're listening on Monday, we get a Bungie ride along for the Shattered Throne. This is pretty exciting. I'm eager to check this out. They're going to have it's Monday, April 29th, 2:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Bungie. They'll have some Bungie developers. I saw one of the lead designers that worked on developing the activity. They're going to have one of the art team, I think a concept artist working on it as well. That'll be along. I'm really eager to hear just what they have to say about this activity and talking about it. Yeah, so be sure to check that out. If you miss it Monday, you can always go back and watch it either on Twitch or on YouTube. They usually post it up pretty quick now.
Dungeons, man. It's been a hot topic since
Where's another dungeon?
Gotten this.
Why'd you give my dungeons? Where are my dungeons?
I'm sure, a lot of times there's a little bit of extra info in these, so maybe they'll hint at plans, which I think DMG posted somewhere as well. I don't have the exact post, but that they've been well aware of the community feedback about dungeons. So
that's good.
We're seeing more. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
if we don't get at least one more
week.
dungeon by next season, I'm gonna be disappointed.
At least one. I don't know, man. I feel like we might not see one until fall expansion or something, and then maybe
Do you think
more
so,
after
man?
that.
I would be so surprised if they. I honestly thought we were gonna see one this season.
I thought we were going to get a secret Whisper of the Worm style quest already at this point. If not, maybe
and
two
somebody,
of those.
I don't know if it got answered yet, but somebody posed a question, I think on Twitter, and they were asking like Cosmo and Dimgy, like, hey, is the other exotic quest, is that the Arbalist? Mm-hmm. Because on the roadmap it has two. One that's free, right? Not part of the annual pass, and then one that's part of the annual pass.
Right.
And we know we already got Thorn, and that was that part of the annual pass? I believe it was.
Yes, it was. Thorn was, because we talked about that being
and
part of it.
And then Revelry, I believe, was available to everyone, right? Not just annual pass.
Yes.
So that could qualify it, but there's still a weapon that you can see in the if you go into your exotics and your collections, and there's a classified kinetic exotic, We still don't know what it is. So the question is like, all right, have we seen all the exotics for this season, or is there more?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
There's also, I did come across in the last reset or two, there's been some questy stuff data mined.
Oh, really?
Very interesting, like multi-stepped thing. But as you listeners know, we won't dive into any unconfirmed things because you never know when they're going to come out. But part of me hopes that, I really hope we see some sort of like, I don't know, questy type thing.
I want a dungeon.
Yeah, a questy thing wouldn't really like meet the Whisper of the Worm type thing, but I would love to see some sort of there's something awesome about when something just pops up in the world and either we missed it this whole time or the community, the fun part is the community finds it, and just an experience like Whisper of the Worm, it just doesn't get much better than that. I remember even like I hadn't done something like that in a while. I usually just kind of these days with my playtime, take my time and grind towards things. But I mean, we jumped in that weekend, dude, and over and over and over again, under power, like tried to get Whisper of the Worm. We finally got it at like 4 a.m. before we crashed. And those experiences are just so fun. Just the whole aspect of those experiences.
It would be really cool if there is going to be a quest, if, like it triggered by finishing like the full like round of the Zur bounties, like the 9 related bounties, like you reach the end of like however many weeks it is. I don't know if there's, I don't know if it was 9 weeks or if there was like a finite number on those, but it'd be cool if like finishing it finally like opens something up, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be really cool.
But we'll get to that in a second because there's a whole thing with this week's that's kind of wonky. So we're going to talk about that. But over in Destiny player support, that's the first thing they talk about. So this week was the 7th invitation of the 9, and it's available, but you can't complete it. There's an issue with one of the objectives. Specifically, you had to kill Vex in the Tangled Shore, and there's now here's the long and short of it is originally you could complete that by completing the Warden's, what's the name of the strike? The Warden's
it's,
you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, we all know. Yep.
Warden of Nothing. There we go. And something happened where it wouldn't count those anymore. So all but one of the objectives are completable except for that one, and so they're investigating a fix to that. Something in that realm worth mentioning. People were upset about this, understandably, because they want the content, and had some comments about Bungie's QA, saying, how did this make this through QA? And so there was a reply from one of the Bungie devs on Twitter that's worth reading if you ever think about, you have the same complaint and wonder how these things happen. They said QA is an important part of development at Bungie. The team spends hours going through aspects of the game. To claim that we do not spend time on QA for Destiny 2 is false. Context. An alternate issue prevented us from encountering this during the QA window. An alternate issue occurred in development where objectives for defeating enemies on specific destinations would gain progress from any destination. When testing Vex kills in the Warden of Nothing strike, this gained progress due to that issue. We recently addressed this issue, so progress would only be made on the required destinations. As such, we've now found that the Warden of Nothing strike is not registering as the Tangled Shore. The team is developing a fix and will give updates on when to expect it. So, stuff changes, stuff gets fixed. Destiny is a complex game, and so we get problems like this. And especially when they're pushing through as many fixes and changes of the game as they have been, these things can happen, and it's unfortunate, but it didn't break the game. It's not the end of the world. hopefully they'll push something through around reset, because we do have till Thursday now to complete these.
Yeah, do these drop out of your... Obviously, Xur goes away on Tuesday. I haven't checked myself. Does the bounty just drop out of your inventory, or basically what happens is
you'll keep it.
You just can't get the next
until
one
you complete it.
Okay.
But if you complete it by the time Xur shows back up on Friday, like if you don't complete it by then you will not be able to pick up the one for that week.
And you'll be a week behind, but you can obviously at the end you'll
be a week behind. So like, because
I actually think
do it.
I think I got 1 week behind this reset. I didn't play a ton, and I didn't get it completed before this one came up. So I think I am now 1 week behind the normal schedule release of the Xur bounties.
Yeah, which no biggie. Like, be able to do next week's and then do the next one, and you'll catch up. Like, they don't go away forever.
Right.
So it'll be okay.
There you go.
Well, further on, they talk about the Revelry a little bit and some known issues. Go check those out. There is an issue with Jubilant engrams not knocking out items as expected when opened across multiple characters. So they say they'll be reaching out to affected players to resolve this issue after the Revelry event has ended. So if you're opening up these engrams on different players and you're not getting stuff knocked out properly, looks like they'll be trying to rectify that after the event ends with a patch.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Also, then they have the movie of the week. Great stuff. Check out there with some funny Revelry-related videos. And then that wraps up the TWAB. We got some other news, interesting news. A lot brewing over there at Bungie Studios this week.
All kinds of... The news is the behind-the-scenes news. I didn't catch wind of this next one until it was a little bit later this week. But they have brought someone from the community on, BSK Change. If you probably heard of this player, very talented PvP player. He kind of announced, I guess, in his Discord that he was joining the team, would be streaming for like 6 months due to NDA and stuff like that. I'm assuming as a PvP, hopefully the PvP knowledge joining Bungie to see what they can do in the future for, us Crucible players. Seems as though we don't know
he doesn't
much.
say what he's doing.
Right.
A lot of people have speculated, it's a contract position or it's this or that. I mean, it could be a contract position, but...
Well, we've seen similar, right?
Yeah. He says he'd been interviewing for a position at Bungie. He's starting there this coming week. Because of his NDA, he won't be able to stream for a minimum of 6 months. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
We don't know what the capacity of the the position is for sure, but
one would assume he'd be working in some kind of PvP related stuff.
And the time frame makes you think, similar to what we've seen before with like Mercules and stuff like that. Obviously that was shorter and that was more of kind of like a play test kind of thing, but Crucible Guardians are hopeful.
Good news for them. Hopefully
on that. Yeah.
And then another news, word comes of at least 3 lead developers at Bungie leaving. 2 announced on Twitter this past Friday. Joe Golroth, which you may have been familiar with, was formerly the lead for the raid team. Joe Blackburn. Joe Golroth is his Twitter. He had been promoted to a different position. How long ago was this? This happened last year, right?
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago.
Sometime in the fall after Last Wish had released. Mm-hmm. And has left. He said, after an amazing journey, today was my last day at Bungie. I can't express how much Destiny and the people that work on it mean to me. I can't wait to see what's next alongside all of you. I think he mentioned somewhere as well He said there's an exciting opportunity down in Santa Monica, and you got to follow those dreams. Santa Monica, of course, is home of Sony Santa Monica. That's the guess right now, is where he might have headed. And then writer Jill Shar also announced on Friday her departure from the studio. Her position was a writer, and then after Destiny Forsaken was promoted to senior writer of Destiny 2. And she has announced that she is on the way out as well. In the meantime, it was also pointed out that former designer Claude Jerome had left the studio as well. Now, he did not announce his departure or anything. He just seems like he kind of quietly went out the back door. So 3, I guess visible and well-known developers leaving Bungie. What do you think about this, man?
Yeah, no, we talked about it. It's just interesting. It's sad for any of them to leave. Specifically, Claude, I met him at the summit and we played some Crucible after, and just super nice Guardian, super cool dude. And, sometimes you just move on to other things. It may not be any more than that, a time frame, things going on the back end. It's just a good time to move on to something else. But I know you found a little something from Jason Schreier, right? That kind of maybe gave a little insight on what goes on behind the scenes at these dev companies. And
anytime there's major moves at Bungie, everybody wants to look to the Oracle Jason Schreier and ask him, what's going on, man? What's happening? And he mentions April. This is in a Reddit comment that was sent to me. I don't have the thread handy, but he mentions April is bonus season at Bungie, so if people are planning to leave the company, that's when they'll do it. Hence why it seems like so many people are leaving simultaneously right now. Same thing happens every spring, although it was particularly drastic a few years ago after Harold Ryan left, around the time that D2 was rebooted. That he also mentions, I don't know if there's any particular drama surrounding this month's departures, but I do know that when a lot of people appear to be leaving a game company at once, it's usually either because a game shipped or because bonuses just went out. And at Bungie, bonuses just went out.
Yeah.
So good insight to keep in mind as we're kind of trying to figure out why these kind of things occur, right? It's definitely concerning to see a lot of higher profile developers leaving.
Well, it's like you and I said, they're a big team, and many come and go, I'm sure, that we don't hear about, but we would appreciate, we've appreciated their work, but it's these top lead designers we've seen over the last couple months that, just have come to our attention. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean like the vision and direction of Destiny 3 is going to be drastically different. It could be something as, simple as timing on the back end, projects they're working on, bonuses like this, or, it is interesting. Who knows? Again, I think Destiny, the story of Destiny and the development could be like a 10-book series at some point, like 20 years from now.
No doubt. If it ever comes to light, but it's hard to see people that have really shaped the game leaving, but it's also worth considering like these people have careers, and developers don't always, most developers don't stay at one studio their whole career. A lot of these folks
and they come and go, right?
A lot of these folks probably been with Bungie and Destiny for 3-5 years, plus. And, like Jason Schreier mentions, Forsaken shipped, they get a lot of the annual pass outs stuff out. Their bonuses went out for, their performance or their profit sharing or however they do it at Bungie there for last year's expansion, and this is as good a time as any if there's an opportunity for these guys to go on to do different things with their careers if that's what they want, you know.
Right. You know, it's like we mentioned with Hamrick too. He had already a time or two went somewhere else and came back to Bungie, you know. So
yeah, he's come and gone several times. Yeah. He even mentioned, I think I saw him tweet something about this too, and mentioned he said something to the effect of like, I love conspiracy theories, but there's nothing like going on. You know, he said like, I just, you know, I was ready to take a break. Right. And I think it's worth keeping in mind. Bungie has a really good reputation for having a good like work-life balance and like, you know, squashing crunch culture and stuff like that, like better than most. But it doesn't mean that like what these folks do isn't hard or stressful.
Right. We talked about that a little before the
difficult.
show. Like, working on a game like this has gotta be.
I think
it's gotta be rough.
It's gotta be a lot to take on, especially if you're a senior developer and you've got like reports, you know, like people that you have to lead and that depend on you. Like that's not easy. You know, if you're responsible for like a major aspect of the game, you know, there's a lot you have to take on, and especially if you're really visible too. Like you got to hear from a lot of people, right?
Right. Yeah. Being visible on the social feeds, you know, which that's your choice ultimately. But, you know, the community's passionate and you're going to, you know, hear different things constantly probably, you know, so I'm sure that could be part of it too. Working on a different style game. Maybe you won't, you know, it'll be a different environment. Now, that's not to say I'm pretty sure they enjoy hearing all feedback from the community. You know, I'm sure they prefer more organized and constructive. So that's not to say that's a negative, but it doesn't mean like at some point you might not want, you know, a change in your scene or your environment, work on something different, you know, maybe a single player experience, you know, something just different. Who knows?
Yeah. Yep. Speculation is Joe and Claude went to Sony Santa Monica, so hey, maybe they'll work on the next God of War installment and we'll get to enjoy their
good talent,
hard work there, you know, which would be awesome. Well, you know, I'm gonna keep in mind, like, you know, the Bungie has reportedly like 800 people employed now, so, you know, a few names, you know, unfortunate, but takes a lot of people to make a game, not just these few, right?
Right, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the news this week, man.
Plenty as usual.
Got any news like on chips or pizza or anything? You wanna
chips. Oh, man, it's been the huge lately in the chip department. It's been Doritos and cheesy puffs.
I'll tell you what, it's been quite a enthralling week if you are into nerd culture. I mean, the Game of Thrones Battle of Winterfell took place, that episode premiere. Avengers Endgame, be remiss if we didn't mention that event. That premiered this weekend. Went and checked that out.
Heard good things.
It's been
I haven't seen
week.
it. Probably won't for a little while because I'm catching up. But you also confirmed the non-spoiler reviews I've watched, that it's pretty fan service heavy and entertaining.
I enjoyed it. It was an event. It was quite an event. I'll put it that way.
Very cool.
Yep. All right, man. You want to tell me, how was your reset?
Yeah, dude. I think we're swapping. I can't remember if last episode is when you didn't get in a ton of playtime, but I think I've gotten like one or two decent play sessions in this week. Nothing too crazy. I just continued to try to max out my Warlock while synergizing the Pinnacle Weapon Chase and Revelry Triumph completion. You know, the multiple layers there of completionist stuff. I actually still haven't. I'm one triumph away, and I'm like 70 to 75% of the way through the strike orb one to get my arbalist. I still don't have my arbalist, which I really want, because here next I'm probably going to spend quite a bit of time again in Gambit to finish off that pinnacle weapon. And I've actually finally I think I'm on the last step of my Malfeasance quest. I just didn't take the time to pursue that one last season, just other things to chase. So
oh man,
probably
so many guns you got to play with. Like, these are a lot of fun guns.
Yep, I know, and a lot of it ends up with me. I think I've mentioned this on the show before, which I haven't been spending a ton of time in the Crucible even before this tonic situation. Malfeasance just didn't seem to be, like, I won't say not worth the grind. I mean, the looks of it alone are worth it, of course, to have it in your collection. But I know they've made some tweaks to it since. But even like Sleeper and stuff like that, if it doesn't have a huge PvP draw to it, usually I'll throw it on the back burner for a little bit and get it a little bit later. So Malfeasance kind of fit in that window a little bit. You know, it's like eventually I know I'll get it. But it doesn't make it to the top of the list. Like the Last Word, that was done the night that quest launched. That's like, I guess, where some of my focus goes. But again, I have not been spending a lot of time in the Crucible. I've been leveling alts for the first time in a while, dude. Like, it's probably been, I couldn't tell you the last time it's been Destiny 1 since I've had 3 characters at max level. I carried all 3 of my characters over, but when we hit that hobbyist level of stuff with Forsaken, like, I just pretty much said I'm going to run one character. But this reset, I started working on my Hunter. I've got my Warlock to 698. Of course, my Titan's my main, so he's 700, and then I started working on my Hunter. So it's just fun. It's really appealing to me. I think I mentioned last week, to be able to work on all this other stuff because it's Triumph-based. While I level my alts, and it's been refreshing to play. As much as I love my Titan, it's been super refreshing to play again on some different classes and subclasses. Just remembering things that I like about each. Of course, I play on my Hunter in PvP usually when I jump in as much as my Titan, but even things as simple as the Warlock melee, the grenade toss. I've mentioned this before, but I love the way Warlocks throw their grenades. They're just like this nonchalant little backhand of a grenade toss, and it's I don't know what it is about it, but it's just I love flip. It. Yep, like, here's my grenade. There you go. Here you go. But yeah, man, that's what I've done. I just doing the grind, leveling stuff up, doing the powerful stuff to work on my alts. Sometimes I wonder if I should be working on alts, because there are things that I need to finish on my Titan. I was going to finish my Thorn quest. I haven't finished it yet either. And that's funny too, because Thorn wasn't a big one for me in Destiny 1. I mean, I used it from time to time just because it was so potent, but I was always a Last Word Guardian in the Crucible. So Thorn wasn't like on the top of the list for me. You know, I started working on it here and there, and I think I am on the final step now. I'm like 30% in. So I was hoping to jump into Iron Banner before it resets, because it, as we know, it progresses faster there. So I need to get back on my Titan and do that. But I don't know. It doesn't
take much. Thorn's not too bad.
I think a few games in, I've only done Iron Banner and some comp, and it got me to like 30 to 40 or something. So I just need to jump on and just finish it, basically. So
sure.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, I'll have plenty of feedback on weapons you guys have probably already had for several weeks now, but that's okay. We all take our own time getting different things. But I did, dude. I was
definitely a few I don't have too. So
yeah, you know, it's many already have Arbalest too, which I'm hoping to get tonight.
I mean, you need to get it because So I picked this up Monday night, which was after we recorded last week, and I was playing around with it. It is surprisingly fast firing compared to linear fusions, which like makes sense. I wasn't really thinking about it, but once I put it on and I was kind of doing that thing where you kind of finger the charge a little bit, like you kind of work it like fusions. Then it kept going off, and I was like, oh, okay, I need to like just shoot when I want to shoot. So it's got a very quick charge time, and I mean, it really it feels a lot like NLB would want to feel.
Oh,
and
man, you told me that last
you're gonna
week.
be,
Oh,
I think you're
no.
gonna be really into this gun. I
I
think you're
hope
gonna
so.
enjoy it a lot.
Hey, it would make sense.
It's just
primary
like
exotic.
a mid-range sniper, like kind of what you would want. Like just
dude.
getting that mid-range or even up close and line up that precision shot and boom, like lay them out. It's good. You can two-shot somebody out of their super.
Wow.
It's just
I missed a one shot, but yes, two shot would be nice. I've heard great things in Gambit, and I've seen it a lot. But obviously that's as
good
an
in
invader,
Crucible,
so it
man.
makes sense in the Crucible, that it would also be potent.
Yeah, I've had people laying me out with it pretty
As
well.
soon as you told me about that no land, connection, I was like,
Yeah.
oh boy, yep, gotta have this soon. So
I wanted to bring up as well, last week I'd mentioned the oxygen. I think it's SR3.
yeah, from the strike.
Yeah, so I got that last week, and I played with it a little bit, and I wasn't really too huge on it, but I played with it a bunch this past reset. Especially I was doing like strikes and some other things, and trying to maximize like precision kills with the gun to generate orbs and such. And I really like the scout. Like, I like it a lot.
What are
And
the perks on it again?
So I don't have it in front of me, but it's basically got Firefly and then Mega Neura, which, so the way it works is, you get Firefly from precision kills, but then Mega Neura, the perk is the more precision shots you land before a kill, the larger the explosion. So it stacks like 3 times, and if you get up to 3, it just generates this huge Firefly explosion. And it's really fun to play with. Like, it just feels like a great hung jury with like kind of some added
That sounds
bonus
amazing.
of this Mega Neura perk. And I like it a lot. It's a great scout if you need something legendary, with precision to stick in that slot. Then I would run it, especially in stuff like strikes or anything where you're dealing with a lot of red bars or even like some mixed orange bars, because you can stack that precision multiplier to get that perk to pop when you kill the enemy.
Yeah.
So I like it. I think it's getting a little bit of a bad rap, and it just takes some time to like play with it and get used to sitting back and just getting precision kills with a scout,
Yeah, for sure.
So-
Yeah, I've been working on it because again, I've been working on some of the Revelry triumphs and jumping over to my hunter. Working just power leveling up and stuff. I've been.
Yeah.
I think that one might be the one I get first. Either it's going to be that or the Gambit heavy machine gun, but I think the strike one might be the one I unlock first. So.
Yeah, man, I really I feel terrible about this, but like I haven't played any Gambit Prime in like 2 weeks or so. And I keep saying like, yeah, I think I'm like just a game away from Delirium, and I just haven't got on to play it. I don't know.
Yeah.
None of my buddies are playing it, and I've been chasing kind of other triumphs and stuff, but I think I'm going to try to play a lot of Gambit Prime over like May, and I'll knock that out quick. And I know that's a great gun. I just
I've heard
need to
good
go
things,
get it.
seen good things.
Yeah,
Yep.
we'll get it soon enough.
Yeah, that's probably next 1 or 2 on my list. But other than that, dude, I did pick up Jurassic Park. I'm
Nice.
like right on the beginning couple stages of the first island, so I'm looking forward to diving in. I'm like super feeling a game like that right now, so I can't wait to play it more this week. I even talked my cousin, talked him into getting it. We visited this weekend with some family stuff, and he was thinking about getting Days Gone, and we both have always been into like SimCity games and stuff like that, and I was telling him about it and kind of showing him a little bit while he was visiting, and he bought it the next day, and now we're like, he's already sending me screenshots of his setup and his island and this or that, and so I think I'm going to be
It's a fun
spending
game
some time
to play, and like when I was playing it, I was playing it at the same time as a couple other buddies, and it was fun to be like, oh, have you gotten to this? Have you done this? Like,
Yep.
It's definitely a fun game to like compare and chat with your friends and talk about it when you're playing.
Yeah, I
it.
can't
So
wait,
that's
man.
good.
I've always loved games like that, and then you throw Jurassic Park in the mix, and as soon as you turn the game on, man, like and you launch into that first island, and it plays the scene that I played 100 times on my first home theater, dude, where the helicopter's flying in with that
Oh, man.
famous music,
Yeah.
dude. Like, it just hits you in all the nostalgic spots, man, and it's like, yep, I'm gonna be playing this for a little while.
And then they got Jeff Goldblum to narrate stuff.
Yep,
which is awesome, dude.
super cool. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
cannot complain about that.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it so far.
Yeah, I'll report more. I'll definitely report more.
You mentioned Days Gone. I actually like heard some good things about the story and stuff on that game so far because it kind of looked. I don't know. A lot of people have been looking at it and saying, "Oh, this kind of looks kind of lame." The more I see of it, you know, and I wasn't super interested, but I've heard really good things about the story.
Yeah,
so
I've heard.
Check that
Yeah,
out,
I actually haven't heard much about the story, but that's good to hear. I've heard good things like what you said. People at first were kind of worried about, but just it being kind of open world GTA style with a bunch of. It seems as though it's got a bunch of elements of a bunch of different games, is what I've heard, and people are enjoying it. So man, there's so much to play right now. I had that moment where I was like, man, that does kind of sound fun too, and I'm like, I can't. I cannot. I've went so long without buying all these games, and I've bought like 4 games in the last month and a half. Like I gotta just not until I finish
you gotta
another
play
one.
some of those games, man.
Right? That's how the backlog happens, right?
Yeah,
Like it felt so nice to buy Spider-Man and basically almost 100% the thing, and then move to something else. But there's just so much to play these days.
You really got to pick and
like
choose. I mean, unless you just have a ton of free time, you really have to pick and choose like where you're going to spend your time. And I mean,
don't you remember when we were younger? It's like this game's coming out this fall, and like that's the only game I'm playing for 2 years. Now it's multiple.
Well, it used to be I would pick up pretty much most of the major releases every fall, and I would play through them, until like January or February. Now, I'm lucky if I pick up like one major release in the fall.
You have to plan for it now. Like, okay, what do I want to play? Especially, with Destiny being our constant. It's like, okay, what can I sprinkle in with my Destiny
They keep
play?
making games bigger and bigger and bigger, So it's you don't just get like a 10-hour campaign on most games anymore.
Right.
Like you pick up a game, you're looking at 100 hours easy, on any given game. So it's a much bigger journey unless you can stomach, just plowing through a game for the campaign. But like, that's never that fun, to play through it, just to have the story. Like I want to experience everything that I am getting into,
That's what I enjoyed about Spider-Man is it was, it was open world and there was a lot of different things to do, but it also felt like kind of like Uncharted. You're going through this quest, even the DLCs. So it was nice. I think that maybe was part of the reason why I enjoyed it so much, because it was from start to finish. I I completed it, closed the book. I didn't 100% it. I've thought about going back and playing it, but it's nice to have those experiences. From time to time, especially playing Destiny as much as we play. But speaking of that, man, what have you been doing this reset, dude?
Oh yeah, well, I talked a little bit about it, but then what I was trying, one thing I was trying to do, because one of our buddies, Rocker Dude, had posted on Twitter, and he said, he went in to Shattered Throne and knocked out like a solo flawless pretty easily with the Revelry buffs. I was like, oh man, like I'm a scrub. I should do this while I have an advantage, because that is one thing I've held off on doing, because it's a big time commitment to solo that, like to really grind that out and get good at it. I was like, maybe I could pull this off during the Revelry, and so I was like, let me give that a shot. So one of the nights I was able to get on, I worked on that a little bit, and I made it through like halfway through the Vorgeth fight without dying, like all the way that far.
Oh wow.
And the trick I was using, which is what I think Rocker Dude had recommended doing as well, is just jump on your hunter and use the class ability Revelry buff, and just have unlimited invis on on
Oh
your
yeah.
tether. What is the name of the subclass? Void Boy, Shadow Shot, Night Stalker. Night Stalker. So I was doing that, and I mean, it's awesome, dude, because you can just before your invisibility runs out, you can just like it recharges so fast that you just hit it again, and you can literally never run out of invis. But when you're in the fight, like when you're in the middle of the Vorgith, like you gotta slow down. You gotta shoot guys, and you gotta do stuff. So
right.
It's occasionally I'd get in a bad spot and almost die, and then finally like I was shooting somebody and I was out of invis, and like just 6 enemies shot me at once and killed me. I was like, oh, I was doing so well. So I think what I'm gonna do is go back in, like finish that fight, go and do Dolankaru, on that run, like figure out exactly like, okay, what weapons worked and like how do I want to approach this, and then tomorrow night I'll try to go in again and try the solo again, while I have the opportunity to try, because I definitely, it would be a huge burden to try to get a solo flawless. Like that'd be a huge time commitment for me. I don't know if I'd ever pull that off. So I'm gonna try to do it while I have these buffs and see if I can pull it off.
I didn't even think about that. I didn't
either until like he posted something about it. I was like, oh man, I gotta try that.
Yeah, very good idea.
Yeah, we'll see.
Keep us posted.
Besides that, man, what else did I do this week? I jumped into my Warlock and was working on some of the Revelry stuff and getting him powered up a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I went in and got my Truth to Power lore. So I'm 3 weeks away from the, what is the name of the seal?
Chronicler.
The Chronicler.
Right?
Yeah, I know some people got it this week because there's actually like a little workaround where you can get more than one in a week. Yep. Little cheaty.
Dude, that's gonna be a cool one to get. I was one that was on the top of my list to try and get. I hope at some point maybe to start pursuing that one more. But man, that one, that's gonna be cool, dude, to have that one. You have to keep us posted on that too.
Yep. So we'll get that. A lot of people are hoping and wondering like if there's gonna be like if something will happen at the end of that like chain, because I mean it's been 9 times 3, like 27, 30 weeks I think since Forsaken, and so I think a lot of people are building this up like, oh man, the last Truth to Power comes out, like what's gonna happen. I don't know if anything's gonna happen. I don't think it will.
Let's get yourself prepared for nothing.
I don't know. I just have this feeling like it's just that'll be it. And then after that, it's just kind of done deal. We'll see. I mean, would be cool if at least there was maybe some unique dialogue or a cutscene or anything. But I don't know. It'll just be cool to have that complete, because that was kind of you had to be real committed to get all those.
Right. Yeah.
Every 3 weeks, man, got to go in, do the blind well,
definitely
do the offering, do the thing. So
very cool.
Yep, just that, and continuing to work on like blacksmith and trying to knock that sucker out. I've got a lot of it done, but I think I might need, maybe like 40 more forged weapons, and I keep trying to get a special bounty. Like I need 2 more of those special bounties to drop. Oh
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that, it's just a couple raid related stuff, and I think I've got like maybe 4 people committed to trying to do a flawless scourge. I gotta talk with some of my people this week and see if I can get them on board. That would be a fun like journey, or just like thing to attempt for before this season ends, while we have like some time to do that.
Definitely.
Once Season of Opulence, I just have this feeling like there's gonna be some fun stuff to do in Season of Opulence with the new raid.
Too. Yeah. Everybody's been talking so much too about, being the last of the annual pass. Like we feel like they put it seems like just, and this could be just nothing, this is the way we're feeling, but they're going to be putting a lot of stuff into Season of Opulence. It seems like it. So
yeah, we'll see. Well, but that's all I've been up to this reset, man. That's about it.
Not fitting any other games right now.
I wish, man. I don't have time for any other games right now.
Right, I know.
I keep wanting to go start playing some old Borderlands stuff, but I haven't yet.
Yeah, dude, it's weird. Like I mentioned, I bought the Division and stuff like that. I was contemplating balancing another progression-based game alongside Destiny. Like, not as heavy as Destiny, just being able to jump into the Division, play it here and there, but I don't know, man. Like, as much as I want to play that game, I just have so much fun with Destiny and it being my constant. It's nice to sprinkle in things like Spider-Man and Jurassic Park on the side, just kind of fun, just set back kind of experiences, not so much like the gear grinding type of experiences. And that's, even though I bought the Division and Anthem, I'm starting to lean back towards, like, right now Jurassic Park just sounds so fun as like a alternate option to Destiny, just kind of kick back and make a dinosaur park.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Watch out though, man. It'll suck you in. You just sit there for like 6 hours.
I'm sure.
My gosh.
Checking your profit. See, I have no, I'll report more, but I can't wait to get in. Like, I went entertainment. Like, I can't wait to get into where I got people visiting my park and see what kind of profit I want to
play.
All that stuff.
Boot it up. It's so much fun.
Yep. I'll keep you posted.
All right. Well, I think this time of the show we can do some Derp Fam discourse. We got a couple emails we can read this week, right?
Yeah, definitely. We this first one here we got from our good friend Derp Fam member Shadow Strike. This one, okay, just to put this one in context, this we received before the Revelry Tonic debacle we're in right now. This was after you and I had talked about Crucible a little bit in our experiences. We had a reset. That's probably it was the reset before Revelry launched, I think.
Yeah.
And I had talked about, we went on a tear in comp probably for like 4 or 5 hours. And I think I actually have not jumped back in since, but 2 or 3 games or so from Fabled. But we're talking about some good experiences we had. So sorry to put this email into context. So Shadow Strike says, "Hello, Arrow and Cyborg." Subject, State of the Crucible. After listening to your latest episode 192 and hearing about the positive experiences you both had in Crucible Comp, it had me think about the state of PvP. Some well-known content creators such as Fallout Plays, True Vanguard, Cool Guy, etc. have been posting constructive criticisms about the need for improvement in the Crucible. For example, the dominance of Not Forgotten and Lunas, overuse of super mods, too much heavy ammo, spectral blades being OP, quick play as sweaty as comp, and lower player population. Personally, I'm struggling with many of the same issues, but when I heard of your recent experiences, I thought maybe the Crucible isn't in as bad a shape as it seems. What do you think, your fan Shadow Strike? So, Cyborg, I don't know if you want to lead it off, man. I know. Go ahead.
I think it's worth mentioning, like, everybody's experience in the Crucible can be different, right?
Right. And not only everybody's experiences, but the same player's experience from night to night. I mean, it can, especially in things like comp, can be drastically different.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then as well, like, so Shadow Strike mentions like other content creators, and specifically a lot of these guys are top tier PvP players, and I think, it's obviously, like, there is always a vocal minority of players in Destiny that talk about different things, whatever aspect of the game that they're into and spend the most time in, like, they're going to talk about a lot. It doesn't negate their opinions, but they have their own point of views. And talking with friends I have that are also extremely skilled, like top tier PvP players, especially when you're in what is called, or what they call, a high comp, right? which is like the higher end of glory. A specific complaint I've heard there is like how tough that tends to get because of, the use of certain weapons, certain abilities, things feeling overpowered, unbalanced. He mentions a lot of them, like dominance of Not Forgotten and Lunas, overuse of super mods, too much heavy, spectral blades, low player population. Like those all tend to be issues that are further exaggerated when you get into higher glory rank. And when Arrow and I are talking about our experiences in competitive specifically, like they're going to tend to be a little different because we're in right now, we're in what you call low comp. So like in players that I've talked to that play in high comp, they're like, yeah, low comp is great. Like, but we can't play there. Cause they're already like higher up in glory and they get there so quick because that's their main objective every season is to get in the higher end of comp and go in and compete and, try to get legend and such. So, but I think it doesn't mean that, the Crucible doesn't need work. I do think it needs a bigger population and that can solve a lot of issues, but there's definitely some things that need balance. What do you think? That's just like thoughts that I had about it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point. Like the good experience that I was talking about that, led to Shadow's email. I hadn't played but just a handful of games so far this season. And, we went on, I think I said like a 10, 15 game win streak, and I ended up a few games shy of Fabled, so definitely low end of comp. I've played with people, I since I got my Luna, I haven't grinded comp a ton, in the seasons following, but, in playing, I've played with some people in the Dirt fam, like you've mentioned, that have still been grinding it like crazy and above 4,000 in rank and stuff. And you can definitely see a noticeable difference in those lobbies. And, I think there's so many factors to your experience. If we've got our whole crew together, obviously it's probably going to be a little bit better experience, which is what we had that night. We had 4 of us, and that helps versus going in solo a lot like I've done recently. Night to night can be different. We'll even get to the point, we even did this way back in the trials days. Once you hit like 1, 2 in the morning, you can notice a difference,
Yeah.
And, all those things factor in just outside of the current climate and the weapons and this or that. And we've, already touched on Luna and Not Forgotten. So I think, man, it really just depends. I've had nights where I log on and play a couple games and I'm like, yeah, okay, I think tonight might not be the night. We'll go play some PvE or something like that. And, it's exactly what you said. It just depends. And it definitely depends in comp where you're at, with the rank and stuff. Yeah. But I just hope I miss the days of, there seemed like there were so many players, and I'm sure there's still, many out there, but had the drive to get better. And we were talking about, Crucible Radio guys and stuff. And I threw up videos all the time on my YouTube channel, and even myself, obviously, I was trying to get better. And it's just so fun to work on your skill in the Crucible. So, hopefully we get to a point in the Crucible where more Guardians feel like they can do that, and they're not just getting melted by 1 or 2, dominant things. But,
yeah.
I don't know. Long-winded answer. It definitely varies, but hopefully, Shadow, you can have some more fun experiences, because there's nothing more fun, dude, when you can get, even going in solo, but even if you can get a couple of your fire team in there and just having a good time playing in comp. Because I ran that night we were playing, I mostly ran Last Word, Sniper, or even Last Word Shoddy. I used to even run that in Destiny 1, just 2 close range weapons. And I was having a blast, I wasn't running my Not Forgotten most of the night. Or sorry, I don't have that, my Lunas. So you can definitely have fun not running some of these super sweaty loadouts. But again, it just varies. So
well, thanks for the email.
Keep us posted, dude. Yeah.
Yep. Our next one comes from Doug. And he writes, why did you choose? So he says, I've got a question for you guys. Why did you choose the side you went with, both in and out of character? He's referring to, this email is a little old. We held on to it for a little while, but he's talking about the Allegiance quest. He says, I went with the Drifter personally because he amuses me and is one of my favorite new characters. Still don't trust him, though. As for my character's reasoning, I play an Exo Hunter, and I've always sided with Future War Cult. His name is Crimson22, and through the Future War Cult machine, he's seen some stuff. He wants to be prepared for the next hell that arrives at our doorstep and is willing to dabble in the darkness if it means survival. So why did you choose, and why did your character choose? So what did you choose on your main character, Arrow?
My main character. We talked about this a little bit when it first launched, but we thought this email would be fun to revisit at this point. Talk about it again. I chose Vanguard. I'm a Titan main. I run Zavala's ship on my Titan. I remember mentioning that, and I just felt like, you know what, I gotta support Titan. As you know, many weeks have went on, and some lore that I've dove into, and some of Mylan's videos that I've watched. It's interesting. Some things I didn't know about with the old Vanguard and what was going on at this point. But like my initial decision was like, I'm a Titan, Zavala. It's like, gotta go Vanguard. Like, just gotta support Vanguard. I did pick Drifter, I believe, on my Warlock, but I don't know, man. It's fun. I'm interested to see if anything comes out of it later on. But I love what he went with on this email. Stuff that he went into specifically about his character and why. I remember, I think way back in the Destiny 1 days, I even wrote like a little fiction about my main character, my Titan. That kind of stuff is fun to dabble into. I've seen that with other games and such. But anyways, dude, what about you? What'd you choose? I remember, I think.
Yeah, so on my Titan, which is what I play the most, he went with the Drifter because, personally, because I just want to see like what all is going on there and know more about the Drifter. And so, of course, if you like ally yourself with him, you hopefully find out more about him and what he's up to. But for my character's sake, and I did it on that character because I play a ton of Gambit on that Titan, and so he's definitely a Drifter fanboy, and wants to be like the Drifter, and wants to dabble in the darkness. He's just interested in power. So that was the reasoning there. And then my Warlock and Hunters are both very loyal to the Vanguard, which all seems counterintuitive to their classes, but this is just what I decided, right? My Warlock is my longest my longest aged character. He's been around since Destiny 1, beginning. And so after all he's been through, he's loyal to Zavala and to the Vanguard and everybody. So they all pledge Vanguard. But I had to have one kind of bad boy of Destiny, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Cool email though. Good question. I
like
how he asked and explained how he made his choices.
Yeah,
I really hope there's a payoff
awesome
this season that we see more come into play with those quests.
Mm-hmm. Well, plus, we're learning in the lore about how, dabbling with
some stuff,
light and darkness. Yeah,
stuff and things. Well, thank you guys for the emails. If you've got an email or a speak pipe you'd like to send to us, you can send those destinyresetpodcast@gmail.com or a speak pipe, which is like a voicemail, speakpipe.com/destinyreset. Send us send those our way if you've got a question about Destiny you'd love to hear our answer on. If you've got a piece of feedback on something we talked about this week, we'd love to hear what you think, or just anything else. Send it our way.
Anything. Send it. Shout outs, of course, always welcome.
Yep. All right, next up, we've got a shout out to our Dirt Fam patrons. Do we have a new patron this week?
We do. You want to have a go at this one? We got a little
Xiphoid Process Zero.
There you go. Xiphoid Process
That's my
Zero.
best guess.
Thank you. And we appreciate when you send us like breakdown of how to pronounce it, because we like to try to get it right. But gamer tags can be pretty interesting sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you so much for the support. We really appreciate it. We appreciate the message too. Always love getting the messages on Patreon, and it's very cool. Thanks so much.
We do appreciate that. So if you don't know what a patron is, go to patreon.com/Destiny Reset. And for as little as $1 a month, you can support the production budget of our show. And if you do, you get a couple perks. You get a shout out on the show, of course. You get your gamer tag posted on our website. And finally, you get an invite to a Discord channel just for Dirt Fan patrons and supporters. As always, we thank every patron that continues month after month to give and support us. We really appreciate that. It makes a big difference for me and AER0KNIGHT. And thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Guardians.
All right, man. Well, where can people find you on the internet?
You guys can find me on Twitter and YouTube at AER0KNIGHT with a 0. What about you, man?
Awesome. You can find me at CyborgSasquatch on Twitter. And then you can find us at Destiny Reset on Twitter, as well as the World Wide Web, www.destinyresetpodcast.com. That's your source for all things DRP, including links to subscribe on your favorite podcast app of choice. As always, if you subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and listen to us there, thank you for your reviews. Do we have any new reviews this week?
We do, actually. We got a couple new. Amity Villain 214. And here you go. Say it again, Cyborg.
Xiphoid Process Zero.
There you go. We got a new patron and new review. And Amity, thank you so much as well for your review. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks.
Always love those.
Yep. So again, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please go leave us a review, because that helps us get seen and heard by more listeners just like you. And we also really appreciate your feedback and honest reviews of the show.
Yes.
All right, man. I think that's a show.
I think we can call it a show. You think so?
I guess we'll go with that.
Plenty of Destiny stuff to talk about as usual. You going to play tonight? I always like to ask you that at the end.
I'm going to go jump in. Yep.
Going to jump in. I think I'm going to play some Jurassic Park. So I will probably have more to report next week on
pet some raptors for me.
The dinosaurs I've created.
Yeah, let me know.
I'll keep you guys posted. All right, guys. Until next reset, have fun playing Destiny 2, and take care, Guardians.